It's Lisa again at 7 Spice Life, and we're a little over a week over Thanksgiving. I'm going to give you the best tips for cooking the best Thanksgiving meal. It's going to taste delicious and it's going to be a hit amongst your family and friends. Let's see what it takes to do that. Here are my top 10 tips. Number 10, prepping your veggies. If you've got a timeline, you know what you need to make first. So, assuming you have that, you want to prep all your hearty vegetables and store them in airtight containers at least 2 days or a day before. If you know they're going to stay fresh and hearty without wilting, you can prep them as soon as you know you can. So, things like carrots, a mirepoix, which is carrot, celery, and onion, chopped onions for a different recipe, peeled sweet potatoes, anything like that that you can cut ahead of time and store in your fridge will save you so much time the day of Thanksgiving. Tip 9, cold sides. Any cold side dishes you have, you can make a day before. So if you've got salad, you can wash and dry the lettuce and store it in your fridge. If you got salad dressings, you can make those up to 2 days ahead. Just store them in an airtight container and shake them up right before you're ready to serve them. And if you're making salad, you want to make sure you don't mix in the herbs to your salad until the day of, right before you serve it. Of course, don't dress your salad until it hits the table. And if you're making any cold side dishes that have dips or anything like that, you can also make the dip a day ahead, assuming that it will be safe for the next day. Tip 8, storing your herbs. Clean your herbs and store them in an airtight container with a damp cloth on top of them and a dry cloth underneath them. This will help them to last almost 2 weeks if you want, but if you're doing it for Thanksgiving specifically, get them ready to go so that you don't have to be busy washing and drying all your herbs right before you're ready to use them. And you can also pluck off as much as you need and use them as the day goes by. Cranberry sauce. You can make it up to a week ahead. And if you use the canned stuff, skip it. Start making your own cranberry sauce now. I will be posting a recipe a little bit later, but you want to make your own cranberry sauce. It's so worth it. Tip 7, classic stuffing and mashed potatoes. Those can be made a day before. I promise they will not taste bad. If you're making your stuffing the day before, you can assemble it all, just do not bake it until the day of. Cover it with foil and you'll be ready to just pop it in the oven and cook it right before you serve your Thanksgiving meal. Mashed potatoes, you want to make them with heavy cream and milk and then do them as you would, but my top tip for you is use a potato ricer. This is a potato ricer and it yields super fluffy mashed potatoes because when you squeeze the mashed potatoes through the holes here, they get aerated and create lots of air and fluff. And they just create this super whipped, creamy tasting mashed potato that's not heavily starchy or elasticy. If you're making your potatoes a day before, the way to keep them nice and soft and fluffy the next day is when you're reheating them, add a little more milk and cream to the potatoes and they'll stay nice and fluffy. It'll kind of rejuvenate those potatoes and they'll stay delicious all day. Tip 6. Okay, we've hit the golden section of your Thanksgiving cooking, which is the turkey. Skip the wet brine. Trust me, just don't do it. It's such a pain in the butt. Who has time to sit there with a cooler full of water, making sure the temperature is exactly where it needs to be? I ditched that habit a long time ago and I will never go back. A dry brine is simple. It's equal parts kosher salt and light brown sugar, and then you can mix in dry herbs and other seasonings if you want, but your basic dry brine is equal parts kosher salt and light brown sugar. When you dry brine, you're going to dry your bird thoroughly with paper towels inside and out. And then you're going to cover the bird with the dry brine. Use it very liberally and you're going to rub it all over the outside of the bird, under the skin, being gentle not to tear that skin, but lift it up from the meat and get that dry brine underneath the skin. Inside the cavity, everywhere, inside the thighs, just get that dry brine all over. And then you're going to put it in your fridge uncovered with the breast side up for 6 to 18 hours. You want to give it that time so that it can get all those juices in there and that dry brine does its job. Tip 5. Before you begin roasting, pull that turkey out, rinse off the dry brine, and dry it completely and give it a chance to rest so that it comes up to room temperature, and when it roasts properly. When you begin to season, butter is a must. This isn't the day to be choosy and start trying to be healthy. It's Thanksgiving. We're all gluttonous little pigs on Thanksgiving, and I love every minute of it. Thank you. So I make my butter come to room temperature also, so it's nice and soft. And then I mix in all my seasonings and herbs into that butter and rub it all over that turkey. When I say all over, I mean give it a bath. You want to get under the skin, over the skin, in the cavity, everywhere. Just get that butter everywhere, because to me, that's what gives it the juice and that goldeny crust on the outside of the turkey. Tip 4, spatchcocked turkey. Spatchcocked turkey is when the neck bone is removed and the breastbone is flattened or cracked so that the turkey lays nice and flat during cooking. It's put on a roasting pan like this, just a shallow one, and then I put, you can see here, is this grate on top of it so that the turkey lays right on top of this, the juices come to the bottom, and the turkey gets to crisp up nicely. So, if you're spatchcocking a turkey, you want to make sure don't go over 14 pounds on that turkey. If you have a really large crowd, cook 2. It cooks in way less time, and if you have a double rack or a double oven, you can still cook other items, or you can cook both turkeys in one oven. Tip 3. When you're cooking your spatchcocked turkey, you're going to set the temperature at 450 and brown the outside of your turkey for about 30 minutes. Then you'll drop down that oven temperature to about 350 and cook your turkey until it reaches an internal temp of 160. I stopped 5 degrees short of a thoroughly cooked bird because when you take it out to rest, you're going to rest it for at least 30 minutes and up to 45 to an hour. And that is called carryover cooking. While you're resting your meat and redistributing all those juices so that your turkey is juicy when you carve into it, it's going to reach that internal temp of 165. So I promise, take it out at 160, but to measure that that's the right temperature, you're going to insert the thermometer in the thickest part of the thigh. That will give you an accurate reading. I also like to take temperature all around the bird just to make sure we're nice and cooked evenly. Spatchcocking is so great because you can measure the temperature accurately, it all cooks nice and evenly, it browns nice and evenly, and it's done in such little time that you're left free to do so many other things and you're not slaving away over the bird. Tip number 2. Turkey stock is essential. I love to have a nice pot of simmering stock on top of my stovetop while I'm making Thanksgiving because I use it in so many recipes. It's so handy to have, and it's so rich in flavor, and it just adds that nice, beautiful touch to your seasoning while you're cooking. One last hot tip I'd like to share with you comes from one of my favorite people, Michelle. She is a guest at my hair salon. Every time she's in, we talk food. She gave me a tip so that it can make my life easier, and I'd love to share it with all of you. If you have people that come over that are more than willing to help, what she does is she prints out the recipe she needs done along with all the ingredients. She gathers them together with all the spices and the dish she'll be using. She puts it all together and gets it ready so that when the person comes over and says, "What can I do to help?" she whips it out and hands it to the person. It's ready. They can do everything on their own without needing to stop her from whatever she's doing, and they can just carry on following the recipe. Okay guys, I'm losing daylight, so I better make this snappy. What kind of wines are you going to serve with your meal? I always like to go for a red with a Pinot Noir or a Syrah. They're perfect for the Thanksgiving taste that you're going to get and the flavors, and they're not fighting with the meal. So it's a very nice balance to give you the perfect wine complement to your meal. And if you want to serve a white that does the same kind of job, go with a Sauvignon Blanc or of Wine. And you can find those at any grocery store that has a good selection of wines, or go to your favorite local wine shop. I'm sure they have any of the 4 wines that I mentioned, and make sure you pick up enough to serve for all the people that want to drink wine. So I always get plenty of wine plus extra. If you are someone that likes to plan ahead like I am, I always jot down what worked and what didn't. That way I know for next year I'm definitely going to do this again, and I'm crossing that off my list for next time. I'll never do that again. Okay guys, that does it for this holiday edition of 7 Spice Life with Lisa. I hope you enjoyed this show or episode, and please feel free to comment what your favorite hot tips are for prepping your Thanksgiving meal, or any cooking tips you'd like to share in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. Until next time, take care. And remember, subscribe to my channel, because without you, I don't have a reason to do this. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Take care.